My name is Mudassar Bajwa from the Department of DS History and my RD is double zero. So this is the third course of SQL or SQL and it is all about intermediate SQL server. So let's have a look on the contents of the presentation. It includes four chapters. First one is the summarizing data, which includes creating aggregations, dealing with missing value statements. The second chapter, which deals with data and math function. It includes summing, counting, and rounding of the data. Third chapter includes processing data with T-SQL, which includes creating and using variables, creating while loops, and last fourth chapter will conduct Windows function in T-SQL. Windows function with aggregation, common window function will be studied in the fourth chapter. So let's have a look on these contents one by one. First of all, summarizing data, in which we will study creating aggregations. So reviewing summarized values for each column is a common first step in analyzing data such as mean, minimum, maximum, and count. If the data consists in databases, the fastest way to summarizing or aggregating data is to use SQL or SQL. So there are common summary statistics or minimum, maximum, and average. So these are used in the following queries, in which we simply need to pass the column name to the function like average, minimum, and maximum, and analyzing the result. Next, they will see how to calculate these steps by each column. You will have to use the group by clause. If you want to take it one step further by returning only the particular values each column, you cannot use the where clause. When you are filtering and calculating the values using the group by clause, you should use the having clause to filter rows. So dealing with missing values or removing missing values, there are a number of techniques you can use to fix missing values in T-SQL. We will use is not null to retain non-missing values. Here we can see in this query, we simply select the columns from incident table. We will use the where clause with is not null clause to retain non-missing values in our result. So if we want to add on or replace missing values, we use is null function and name the column. Here in this query, we will select the column and we will use is null function with column name, that is incident state, and the column with which the missing values are replaced, and it is city, and analyzing the result gives us the non-missing missing values replaces with the city column. So using case statement. Case statement is commonly used to evaluate conditions and a query. Case statement allows us to evaluate records like in this statement as shown in the query. We can use the case statement to check if if account contains a value, and when it does, then we can replace the value with some other value of choice, else replace it with another value. So a case statement must have at least four keywords. First one is the case, second one is when, third one is then, and at last the end keyword is used. So in this process, the else statement is optional. So in this query, we will select the country column, then we use the case statement, and after that when statement is used, uh, and it is given as US. If it is right, then it is USA, else it is an international. So it is ended with an end keyword and analyzing the result. So this is how we can use the case statement. So the second chapter includes data and math functions in which we study summing. Similar to other aggregate functions, we can use the sum function to calculate all the values of a column. Simple, we will select the column and we will put the sum function uh, in the parentheses with the column name analyzing the result, and we can also sort the data according to the group by statement, which is shown in the query result. That is the result, or our data is grouped according to the mixed desk. So counting the number of rows. Similar to that, this is a quick way to know how big the data is. It will count the number of records or rows in a table. So we simply select that column name and uses the count function instead of the sum function, and we can also sort our data according to using the group by statement. So rounding and truncating. Rounding and truncating is done to get the desired number of digits before and after the decimal place. The round function let you round value on either side of the decimal value. It takes two required arguments. First one is the when number to be rounded, and the second one is the length. Length specifies if the number will be rounded on the left side of the decimal place or right side of the decimal place. So if the length is positive, then the number on the right side of the decimal place will be rounded off. So if the length is positive here, the number will be the right side of the decimal will be rounded off. Else, if the length is negative here, left side of the decimal will be rounded off. So here in this query, it is positive, so right side of the decimal will be rounded off. So in this way, rounding off is done using the sequence. So truncating. Sometimes we just want to truncate values instead of rounding up and down. Adding the third argument to the rounding function will truncate instead of rounding up. So here, this is the third function in the round statement, which will truncate our results. Here, the cost value is truncated to truncate cost, in which all the decimal places on the right side of all the digits on the right side of the decimal place are cut off or truncate instead of rounding up. So further in chapter 3 we will study about processing data in T-SQL. So creating and using variables. So creating variables is very useful in T-SQL because in T-SQL we create variables using the keyword declare, and the first character of the variable must start with the at sign. So here, if we want to create a variable, we will use the keyword declare, and we will put the at sign in the start of the column name, and then we will specify the data type, which is in this query is integer. So we will set the variable a value using the set keyword. It will assign the counter variable a value of integer, which is equal to 20. If we select the integer, if we select the variable, then we will have the query result, the value of the variable in the result. So creating a while loop. While loops in the SQL work the same way as in other programming language. It need to start with a keyword while and some kind of condition, as shown in the query. The while loop start with while and the code while keyword, and the column name is counter and it has a value less than 30. So the next keyword is the begin, which is used to which is used to denote a beginning of a loop. The code you want to run continues from here until the end keyword. If you want to break the loop in the middle, simply use the keyword break. So the code you want to run in this case, which is counter is less than 30, it will start here because we will set the counter value +1. So the loop starts until the counter will have a value less than 30. So when we select the counter, it will give us the result. And the while loop ends with a keyword end. So in chapter 4, we will study about Windows function with aggregating. Simple creating windows with overclause as shown here. First of all, we select the we will select the columns, and then we will aggregate uh, at the same time as the windows function are done. This is done by creating window with over clause, which is here followed by the partition, which create partition by which creates the frames. If you don't include partition by, the frame is the entire table. So to we can also arrange the result by using the order by clause. So if we want to count the number of rows, we simply use the count function instead of the sum, which is indicated in this query as well. So common Windows function, first value in a window function. First value return the first value in Windows function. Here in this query, we will select two columns, territory name and order date. And after that, we will use the first value function and naming the column in the parentheses, and using the Windows function, we will have our first value in the table. Similarly, we can also we can also know the next value and the previous value using the common Windows function. So using lead, you can compare the value of the current value from the next row of the windows. For last value of the windows, the next value will always be null, as there is no next value. As we can see here, the first value is always null value because there is no previous value before this. Similarly, you can use the lag to compare the values of the current value to the value of previous row in the Windows function. For first row of the window, the lag value will always be null, as is no previous value is present in the Windows. So in this way, we can calculate the previous and next values using the lag and lead functions. So this is the statement of accomplishment on completing the intermediate skill server. Thank you. That's all from my side.